camping with my kids.
Yes.
And I like to cook for them. I don't take a break from cooking.
Of course you do. You're an amazing cook.
We did tri-tip.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of told my kids, look, it might not be as good at home. I didn't bring one of the big green eggs with me. Like I'm doing it on a little Weber. Like it'll be fine.
Sure.
It'll be good, but not like amazing.
It's a very primitive cooking situation. Yes.
Yeah. I have a jealous devil charcoal that I bring with me and a temperature probe. Like I am insane.
Sure.
Anyway, I make these 2 tri-tips for my children and I've talked them down a little bit.
Sandbagging it. You're saying this is going to be terrible. This is not going to be what...
I want to set expectations. I don't want to be disappointed.
Yeah, of course.
And my oldest son, the first piece of tri-tip he takes a bite of and he says, Daddy, this steak, and does the chef's kiss thing. And I was just so happy that was how he responded to my food. I was just like, all right, I'm done. This is great. I can die happy now.
Quiet, please.
And now the other one's out of the will, and it's just him.
I doubled them up.
4,
I doubled them up for sure.
3.
It was a good win. I was very happy with myself.
2.
Yaffle Company presents a Truly Terrible Podcast. Welcome to Nonsense Season 4, Episode 22. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm CJ Little.
This is our take on the week's business, tech, and entertainment headlines. This time, Artemis II smashes Apollo 13's distance record.
Settle down, Jeff. They went 1.6% farther. I wouldn't say smash.
Smashes it. Crushes it, obliterates it.
Fine.
The fight for rural broadband, Starlink's refusal to follow federal rules.
From the book of Elon, chapter 4, verse 20, the iron law shall not bind the chosen.
You'd think the bead people would have read the book of Elon before allowing him to bid.
Yeah, I mean, I think they know the book of Elon. I think they know what's coming.
How U.S. bans handed China's chipmakers a monopoly.
Sure, China might have taken Park Place and Boardwalk, but they're going to have to pry Mediterranean and Baltic avenues out of our cold, dead hands, Jeff.
Was that a Monopoly reference?
What, did you have me down as more of a Hungry Hippo sort of guy?
Chubby hippos? Yeah, that tracks.
I feel seen.
Also, our big story later this week, coding was only the beginning. The next 5 industries facing an AI overhaul.
Coming for you, plumbers.
It's metric system day.
Oh, boy.
In most of the world, the metric system is the global standard. It's perfect for simplifying and unifying measurements across the world. Only 3 countries still cling to their backward ways: Liberia, Myanmar, and the United States of America.
I didn't wake up today thinking I was going to be defending the imperial system, and that's not how I want this day to go down. However,
no,
there are.
Here you go.
There are.
Here it comes. Here comes the defense.
Want this to be me. It's easier to do division by 2s, 3s, and 4s with the imperial system, and for folks who don't embrace calculators, I guess it helped. Yes, it's beyond me. All I know is the Canadians also use a mishmash of, and the Brits use a mishmash
small
of
amount.
metric and imperial.
They're using imperial for like what? When you buy beer.
Well, yeah, that's important. But like road signs, I think too. Look, let's ask the AGI what day the whole world should just switch to metric, and then we just do it because.
Why do we need an AGI for this? Why can't we just say Thursday? Thursday, we're all going to switch.
Because then we can blame the AGI, and you can be like, well, this is what the AGI said. It's clearly all knowing.
Okay.
I would support us all being on metric. I feel like that is not something to say it didn't work out well for Ford. It's not going to work out well for us, but we should do it anyway.
At this point in life, it's embarrassing we're so dependent on the imperial system.
There's not much that still regularly uses the imperial system, right? I mean, all U.S. car manufacturing has been metric for decades.
Behind the scenes, yes, but to our consumers and to like students, we're still teaching the imperial system.
Yeah.
This is lunacy.
Yeah. We also teach, cursive. But I do find it amusing when my father-in-law, who's been in construction his whole life, will come over to the house every now and again. I'll be building something, constructing something out of 2x4s, and I'm using centimeters to measure things. And he just looks at me and just shakes his head.
Sure. And
I'm like, oh yeah, it's like 53 centimeters. And he's like, no, just no.
How was your week going?
Lovely.
Good.
My week's going great. We went to the end of spring break. So we went at the tail to Yosemite before the season starts. The season doesn't get exciting in Yosemite until mid-April.
Why? What makes it exciting? What brings on the excitement?
Everything opens it's when you can get reservations for the various campgrounds. So everybody starts showing up mid-April, and that's when it gets really nutso. This year, they are getting rid of their reservation system during the peak days, which is going to make it even more interesting.
So it'll just be a disaster.
I suspect it's going to be insane.
Why are they doing that? What's the benefit?
I don't really know why if they just want massive chaos. I mean, there's the whole conspiracy theories online are you want massive chaos, so then the people go, well, clearly we got to privatize the park systems. comes.
Good grief, I hope not.
The year is exciting, but the locals, I'll tell you, are not excited about this because at least with reservations, you get some modicum of traffic control.
Yeah, sure.
Without them, it just becomes an absolute mess. I mean, we went in and out of the park a couple times, and at one point on, I think it was Friday, there was over 1.5 miles of cars waiting lined up to get in, which is not good. Fortunately, we didn't have to wait in that, but we did drive by it. But the camping there was excellent. Springtime at Yosemite is my favorite. Beautiful. Because you have great weather. I mean, it was like freezing overnight, but warm mid-70s during the day. The falls are flowing absolutely bananas because you've got maximum snowpack melting.
Sure.
Lots of mist. My kids loved it. I met a bunch of interesting folks, as I always do when I go to these places. My favorite were a couple that was driving from Baja to like British Columbia or Alaska. And I just loved their truck. I loved it. Just
the freedom of that.
Exactly. Like, you know, they're in their 20s, and he had this old like 80s Ford F-150 diesel with a camper shell on it. And then I just looked at all his kit. He had a dirt bike on the front and mountain bikes on the back, and he had surfboards on the top. And I'm like, dude, you are living right.
Yeah, you're doing it perfect.
And I gave him our camp spot when we left.
10 out of 10.
It was pretty awesome. They were definitely fun. My kids enjoyed every minute of it. They loved it. We only saw a couple bears, which was always mildly exciting. I tell them to run faster than their brother if they're chased by a bear.
Always.
And it was the right amount of time for like 4 or 5 days, and now we're back in sunny summertime Los Angeles. I've got no complaints.
Gorgeous here. Stunning here. This is why we live here. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, but I'm here for the taxes. I'm doing my civic duty.
Good.
How about you?
Lakers Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves are officially out for the remainder of the Lakers season.
Oh, no.
Following injuries sustained in last Thursday's blowout loss to the Thunder.
They sprain a finger? I hate when the basketball players sprain a finger.
Oh, I wish that were the case. Luka Doncic has a grade 2 hamstring strain. Whoa. He's out for 4+ weeks. He is currently flown to Europe to try to speed up his recovery. I don't know what they have in Europe that they don't have here, but whatever it is, go for it and see what you can figure out, because we need you back as fast as possible. Austin Reeves has a grade 2 left oblique strain. He will be out for 4 to 6 weeks, and the playoffs start in 2 weeks.
That's not great.
So somehow we have to survive the first round without him. It seems unlikely.
Well, I'm enjoying the Red Wings going from having the longest streak of making the playoffs in the NHL to butting up on the longest streak not making the playoffs in the NHL. So that's been a fun swing of the pendulum right there.
All right, let's turn from sports to our headlines, shall we?
Let's do it.
Humanity finally returns to the lunar sphere.
A sphere? It's a disc. It's flat, right?
The Artemis II astronauts have finished flying over the dark side of the moon, so now they have the historic distinction of being the humans who have traveled the furthest from Earth. They've also tested all the systems needed for future lunar missions, validating life support, navigation, spacesuits, communications, and other human operations in deep space.
Okay, so this is super cool. There's a subset of people that are not interested in this at all.
Yeah.
And I don't like those people.
You may jump ahead 5 minutes.
Oh, no. Turn it off. Go listen to Rogan or something else. Don't even come back. You're not going to enjoy our time. I'm so excited about this. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I was in Yosemite when this Artemis II took off from Florida.
Sure.
I specifically, and when I camp, I don't like to have any connection with the internet. I don't want to be connected to the outside world. I really like to just enjoy the nature.
You're there to be in nature, of course.
And we did a little hike to a suspended swinging bridge with my kids. And I knew it was going to be about the time that the Artemis launched. So I was constantly checking my phone to make sure we were in a place that had 5G. And I watched the Artemis II launch with my kids on the side of a river, the Merced River.
Lovely.
In the middle of nowhere. And it was an awesome experience.
Lovely.
Very cool. I suspect core memory, at least for one of my kids. The other one, I don't know. He's to be determined. Super fun. This launch is extreme. Like, I haven't been this excited about a launch since the space shuttle when I was a kid. Like, this is so cool and so unique.
This is the first time astronauts have left low Earth orbit in 54 years. It was 1972.
Pretty crazy. And the amount of information that you get in documentation, not just from the astronauts, right, and from NASA, that's obviously 100x or 1000x more and better than what we had 50 years ago.
Of course.
But also John Q. Public.
Higher res video.
Yeah. And the soundstage they're recording this all on looks way better than, when the moon launch was done in Hollywood. Glad they're keeping LA production alive. Now, the John Q. Public video has been awesome. Like, I watched a video of someone on a flight somewhere over Florida that watched the launch in real time happen out their window from 30,000 feet. That was incredible.
Oh, that's cool.
And the amount of photographers that set up kit.
That's really cool.
Not just, shooting from afar via basically a telescope, but set up kit at the launch site to take pictures and video of the launch itself.
Really cool pictures where they had to set their cameras up like 2 days in advance.
Yeah, and wrap them up, and they, and it's really incredible. So it was fascinating to watch. And then what we get out of this, right? So we're not landing on the moon with Artemis II. We're going to go around the moon and then slingshot around the moon. So they were just at the dark side of the moon yesterday, about the time we were recording this. They're going to be roughly, I think, 7,000 kilometers from the surface of the moon, which means the moon is going to look like roughly the size of a basketball held out at arm's length.
Right.
And they're going to see craters that have never been seen with human eyes. They've been seen with, robotic cameras, but never with human eyes.
Which means they get to see them and the rest of us don't, because on the robotic camera things, we all got to see them.
Yes.
So that's kind of an expensive bit of tourism.
They're just keeping it for themselves. They have named, I think they have already put in a request to name two of the craters. One after their capsule, which is Integrity, and one after the commander's late wife, Carol,
died of cancer.
Who died of cancer in 2020. And I just think that is absolutely amazing.
Christina Koch is the first one to fly to the moon, building on her record-breaking 328-day stay on the International Space Station. So it's the first woman to fly to the moon.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Victor Glover is the first person of color to pilot a spacecraft toward the moon.
That's amazing. We've only had a very small handful of people that have done this. So this is an incredible elite group of folks to be in the company of.
Jeremy Hansen is the first non-American. He's Canadian to ever journey beyond Earth's orbit.
Yeah, and the least popular of the Hansen brothers.
That's true. I'd never heard of him. Free return figure 8. The mission uses a free return trajectory.
Yes.
If the engines fail after they head toward the moon, Earth's gravity will naturally pull them back home without needing a second burn.
Added bonus. This is what we did with Apollo 13 when they had the oxygen tank ruptured and exploded. Yeah. It's the similar trajectory.
Gravity combined with math is cool.
And to really good math.
Yeah.
Also, gravity, one of the few things that is more sustaining, is more long lasting than death and taxes. Gravity's going to outlive both of those things.
For sure.
It's not going anywhere.
For 41 minutes, they had a blackout as they went behind the moon. They had no internet, which is very much like my house at any given time of day.
It's like going through the longest tunnel ever. This was not without issue, though. They did, shortly after launch, the crew detected a burning smell, and it was coming specifically from the waste management system. Which
is that true?
Yes. Which
from the titanium printed toilet?
From the poop receptacle. I love that as a precaution, Houston asked the astronauts to, quote, limit their use of the toilet.
How do you do that exactly?
Well, that's the fascinating part where it's like, hey guys, you're going to be home in a couple of days. Just hold it, right? Like, what's the big deal? So these systems, because obviously you're in a place where it's not that there is no gravity, but effectively you're weightless.
Special toilets for men and women.
Yes.
You can use the same toilet.
Yes. So they work on suction and ventilation to handle liquids and solids in these weird microgravity worlds. And any anomaly in those can affect both comfort and, in this case, safety of the internal environment, which is a very nice way of saying you don't want your pee and your poop floating all around the capsule. That would be bad. Right. In the case of Orion, this system presented not one, but at least two failures that we know of. The first one, the crew was able to resolve, but soon after, the toilet developed some additional problem. NASA engineers suspect that the most recent failure may be due to, quote, ice blocking one of the pipes.
Oh my.
And I think it was easier than when, I think that answer was easier when we had to just worry about the recent astronaut and science skeptic Butch Wilmore plugging the space toilet pipes, which I think is what happened in the ISS, and to get him back. So, at least the ice is a better explanation. The good news is they have backups for this. This is not a critical risk to the mission.
There are 17 restrooms on this flight.
They just went,
which is nice. I mean,
I don't want to go to the all gender restroom. Fine, back over the wing. No. So, as it turns out, a space toilet is like a perk, right? It's like you're in the first class cabin, but it is not a necessity. They have a backup. And the backup is basically the same thing they did during the Apollo era, which is they just pee out the window and problem solved.
No, actually, there was urine floating around in the capsule.
Oh, yeah.
There's a long story about that. But yes, they had urine floating around freely.
Yeah. I was gonna keep that. Yeah, well, I was gonna not talk about that one and try to keep what listeners we still have. No, they actually have bags with adhesive seals for solids.
Sure.
And then they have these like funnel-like devices that are connected to small bags for liquids. I don't know about you, but even like using a porta potty, I find to be an ambidextrous. Like, what am I doing here? How am I staying alive and not getting covered in my own feces?
For sure.
But somehow these guys are doing it in microgravity with a bag and tape.
Right.
So I'm assuming, I don't know this to be factual, but I'm assuming NASA deploys the buddy system in this case, and they just don't talk about it. But I don't really know. But I gotta believe somebody, like, you need a helping hand. Like, what?
By the way, if I get to reserve my time in the restroom as I'm heading toward the moon, I want the 41 minutes while we're on the dark side of the moon, while there's no communication, so that nobody bugs me. I just want to use my restroom in private.
That's why why everyone up there was a parent. They were just so happy in that 40 minutes of dark side.
Oh, yeah.
40 minutes of quietness on the dark side. Yeah.
It's probably why they signed up for the mission.
Remember, their pooper broke. They've already set a couple records. They are seeing things that haven't been seen with the human eyes ever, which is incredible.
Yeah, right.
And my favorite thing that I've read so far from the astronauts that are in this capsule was from the Commander Reid Wiseman, who said after speaking with his daughters from space, he said the mood on board is very positive, and that we're up here so far away, and for an instant I was reunited with my little family, and it was quite simply the best moment of my life. And I thought that was so cool to think about the grand expanse of space, and this dude is the farthest away a human has ever been from Earth,
from his family,
and he's thinking about his little family and how that's just the best possible combination. And I think that is so cool and so fitting of this mission.
They have 4K laser communication. They're testing the 020 Orion Artemis II optical communication system, which uses lasers to beam 4K high definition video back to Earth.
Amazing.
At 260 megabytes per second, speeds comparable to home fiber internet.
They're going to use Starlink, but as it turns out, they didn't want to spend the $50 a month.
And that's a reasonable thing. 25,000 miles an hour is how fast they'll be going as they come back into Earth, creating temperatures of nearly 2,700 degrees Celsius. That's a hot capsule.
That is a hot capsule. We don't know timing yet for sure. It's currently scheduled to re-enter on Friday of this week at around 5 p.m. Pacific. It'll come back in the Pacific Ocean, I'm assuming on a similar trajectory to where the Dragon capsules have landed. I'm excited to see it, but keep your eye on the timing because that could easily change. We don't know exactly when it's going to splash down.
Of course.
It'll be during the daytime, so it'll be a little harder to see, but I suspect you'll be able to see with the naked eye if you're in Southern California.
Some of the science experiments, they've got human bone marrow cells on microfluid chips to see exactly how deep space radiation affects the human immune system at the cellular level.
Sorry to talk about the landing again. I meant to mention this. When that comes back at 5 p.m. on Friday, that will be the first day of the first weekend of Coachella.
Sure.
And I kind of want to go just to watch the people that are absolutely tripping balls wonder what that thing is in the sky that is shooting across the sky. I'm going to just run around.
Because they don't know.
Aliens. It's got to be aliens just the whole time. Like, I do suspect there to be a mild panic running around Coachella while everyone on their mushrooms and acid is enjoying the trip.
NASA had a Send Your Name to the Moon campaign, and they had 5.6 million people who signed up for it, which means there are 5.6 million names on an SD card inside the capsule.
That's cool. I paid an extra $100 to have Butch write my name in the lunar landscape using only urine.
Butch is not on this trip, but okay.
There was an attempt.
The crew has access to 189 unique menu items, including coffee, smoothies, and barbecue beef brisket to keep morale high during the 10-day loop.
What?
They've got good food.
That is ridiculous.
By the way, why not 190? They couldn't come up with one more recipe.
No, they cut the pot roast. It turns out the pot roast is terrible. Wait a minute. To keep morale high? You are in a capsule.
Buzz Aldrin was like, we had Tang.
Barely. Yeah, and they cut that. Yeah. Wait, I don't understand. Of all of the things in science that there's no need to keep morale high here.
Oh, yeah. You're flying to the moon.
I would eat dog food and cardboard. Like, you're flying to the moon. That is insane. Like, you are literally get to name craters that no humans have ever seen with their own eyes. And it's like, well, if I don't get the turkey gravy, I'm going to be really upset.
Yes.
They also had like a patch from one of the Apollo missions.
Yes.
That had previously been brought to the moon. And I'm like, why are you bringing things back that had already been there?
We took these rocks earlier. Let's bring them back to you.
Did they go pick up the lunar rocks? Yeah, exactly. Oh, so sorry. We ignored the sign and said, do not remove any rocks.
Put these
We're
back
going to
where
put these right back where we picked them up from. It is pretty cool, though. They also had, who was the previous the Apollo astronaut? Was it Lovell that recorded?
Lovell.
Before he died back in August, he recorded their morning wake up.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Like, I love that so much of that goes into the planning of this process. That is really like a mark on humanity.
Yeah.
At least up to this point.
Why Congress fears Starlink is trying to dodge compliance. 21 House Democrats are urging the federal government to rescind roughly $733 million in broadband subsidies earmarked for SpaceX's Starlink. The lawmakers, led by Representative Sam Liccardo, accuses Elon Musk's company of attempting to pressure state offices into relaxing rules for the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program, BEAD. Central to the dispute is a SpaceX contract writer that demands 50% of the funds up front and gives the company sole authority to exclude certain underperforming locations from compliance data. Critics argue argue those exemptions would whitewash Starlink's performance and leave rural families with substandard service. With federal officials already insisting the program terms are non-negotiable, Democrats warn that SpaceX's refusal to follow standard regulations makes it an irresponsible steward of taxpayer dollars. No duh.
Well, I mean, yeah, fortunately, they've got experience in being irresponsible stewards of dollars, so that's okay.
Who does?
SpaceX. Okay, let's go back to BEAD for a second.
Yes.
So that's the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program, which is what this falls under.
Correct.
And generally speaking, I think BEAD is a really good idea. This is an attempt to stimulate broadband access in underserved communities.
Let's get good, fast internet to as many parts of the country as we possibly can. Literally, they were trying to serve nearly 500,000 communities.
Yes.
Originally, under Biden, it was going to be fiber, which is a brilliant idea.
Go back a second. Even before they made the decision to focus on fiber, the initial specs were 25 meg down and 3 up, which is broadband adjacent. It's better than nothing, certainly.
Yeah, sure.
They've since upped those.
That's really fast Morse code is what that is.
Well, they've since upped those to 100 down and 20 up, which is great because that does get you into sort of the next tier of broadband. So that
Sure.
I appreciate that has been amended in the sort of BEAD process. And that's great. Now, the initial focus during the Biden era was on fiber infrastructure, which I personally am a big fan of because that infrastructure serves a given region and is very fixed. Like you're probably going to get somewhere between 30 to 60 years or more out of that infrastructure.
Sure.
And that I think is a very net positive thing. It's not going to fall down out of the earth. It doesn't have to be refreshed. And I like that. Now, I do suspect there are some areas that even with a BEAD stimulus are not going to be served by fiber. They're just
of course
too far away. And that's a great spot for LEO service.
You are only trying to serve just slightly less than 500,000 places.
Yeah. So there should probably be a balance here. Now, it's interesting where Starlink is like, well, we don't want to have to count against places that we can't get deployed into. And it's like, well, that's part of the point.
Yeah.
Part of the point here is that there's some areas you can be deployed to and some areas that you can't. And everyone should be on the same grounds for that, right? The areas you can get to, you got to serve. The areas that you can't. It's interesting how this is going to, or how this is shaken out so far. I do think there's a world where we need all of these things. But what's interesting to me about Starlink's deployment is their constellation does not target a specific area, right? By definition, the constellation is constantly moving around the whole
flying
planet.
over the entire globe, sure.
Yeah, so you're going to get more than just the targeted areas. And that part I struggle with because what are they going to use the funds for? What they've said is they want to subsidize the purchase of the antennas by the consumers in these areas.
Sure.
Which, okay, I could glom onto that.
Unnecessary. They're not even that expensive.
They're not that expensive. They're $250 relative to a $50 to $100 a month service contract.
Sure.
It's relatively negligible, but okay, fine. I could even see maybe subsidizing some of that for folks. Maybe half of it. Great, fine. They become a subscriber. They're on board for this. That seems reasonable to me, but I don't know how you get from $700 million at, let's just say, the full freight, $250. That's more people than we have on this program. Like, where's the rest of the money going?
Right.
And that's the part I don't understand for those subsidies. Like, what else are we using this on? If you're digging infrastructure, those costs are going to be single digit to double digit thousands of dollars per home.
Yes.
So it's much greater. And that's what I don't know with Starlink. Yeah, maybe we're putting up more birds. How do you amortize that against the guys in North Dakota that don't have access when in reality, they're not going to be just used by those guys. It's going to be shared across the whole globe.
Right. They'll use by everybody.
So you're going to prorate it down to
downlinks that maybe they have more downlinks that
Sure.
are local, so it's a little quicker, but that's not going to make a giant difference in speed and latency.
But you would hope that they would be very open and transparent about where that money is going and how it's actually helping those areas.
Right. They reportedly sought to water down requirements related to labor standards and financial reporting, not just tech specs.
Yeah.
And it's a $21 billion domino because if Starlink gets these things, every single company who's a part of this program, the BEAD distributions, will demand these same.
And this, I don't believe BEAD has any effect on this whatsoever. But the other problem we've got here is there's a lot of areas where we have codified in law that municipalities can't compete. And that to me is terrible.
Horrible.
Why can't you have, like, I have a municipality here that provides me electricity and water and seems to do a pretty good job. My market rates aren't insane. Like, it works. I flush the toilet, the water goes away. I turn the faucet on, the water comes here. Why not have them provide? And they're the best ones. They already have the right of way.
Sure.
They already have everything in place. I'd probably have fiber at my home if DWP was allowed to provide it versus an AT&T or a Frontier that has to trench and get their own right of way to bring that to my house. You also have this as a real, like, there's no way to protect it, right? You can't really put a fence around LEO. If you have mass dependency on LEO, it's pretty easy to, easy is a relative term here. An adversary could go take some of those out. And we know that as you take out a few, that's gonna.
That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
The rest all just domino.
Yeah, you domino. You have this, these particle clouds that then go ruin everything else. And then it's like, oh, you have no more internet. it's so much harder to take out the terrestrial on-premise deployment.
But I've seen the Three Stooges. It's just one guy yanks on the end of the fiber and the other guy goes falling on his butt. I've seen how this works. You can knock it out.
Just goes flying into the hole. Yeah, no, I understand.
You can totally knock it out.
Bunch of backhoes at the same time. You want to be careful talking about ways to take out infrastructure because that's how we get a visit from the guys in the suits. So we should probably not talk too deeply about that.
Let's move on.
Yes.
Backfire. Washington's restrictions are funding China's tech independence. Chinese semiconductor companies are defying Washington's tightening export controls, posting record-breaking revenues fueled by a relentless domestic AI boom. As the U.S. curbs block access to high-end NVIDIA hardware, Chinese tech giants and data centers are pivoting to homegrown alternatives, creating a windfall for local manufacturers like SMIC and Huahong. Driven by urgent self-sufficiency mandates, these firms are rapidly expanding capacity in mature nodes and accelerating breakthroughs in advanced packaging. While technological gap remains compared to global leaders, the sanctions have inadvertently fast-tracked China's internal supply chain. With massive state subsidies and soaring demand for AI computing power, China's chip sector is no longer just surviving, it's scaling at a historic pace.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, what do you think is going to happen? And I wouldn't say that they're defying our export controls. I mean, they are in some cases, right? There have been all sorts of resignations and implications. The guys from Supermicro were straight up smuggling chips over for sure.
Sure.
They're also just ramping their manufacturing.
Yes, that's the more interesting part of the story.
Yeah, but they didn't have a choice. So I think about like split timeline. Like there's this timeline where we put in tightened controls and now they ramp up their manufacturing. And there's this timeline where we didn't put in more controls. What would have happened then? Maybe they wouldn't have ramped their manufacturing, but they still would have had access to the chips. So I'm not sure which one is better. I mean, right now you've got a window of time where you've slowed down their ramp up of application. Like you don't have enough chips maybe to run your big models on. Mm-hmm. They're going to get parity at some point.
Absolutely.
So maybe we bought ourselves a little bit of time, but holy crap, we better do something useful with that time. We better sprint ahead as much as we can on the application side, which we do seem to be doing. But well, man, your time is limited with that head start for sure.
They've created this thing called the Big Fund, and they're in phase 3, and that is state-backed chip fund with a staggering $47.5 billion, 344 billion yen in capital. Wow. This single fund is larger than the entire U.S. CHIPS Act subsidy pool, which is $39 billion.
Yeah. I mean, again, they didn't have a choice.
They're stepping on the gas hard.
Yeah, as they should. I mean, this makes the most sense. It's something we should probably do as well, because I don't think this is just about costs. This is about just being able to have the ability to do these things.
To avoid dependence on Western chip architectures like ARM and x86, China has gone all in on RISC-V, an open source alternative. This makes their chip designs virtually sanction-proof because no single country owns the license. They've also gone hard on chiplets, which are little tiny chips that they can assemble lots of, it's the AMD thing, where you can stack a bunch of them together and get a much more powerful chip.
Yeah.
China is currently building more semiconductor fabrication plants than the rest of the world combined.
Yeah, I believe that.
In 2024, 2025, 18 new large-scale fabs were slated to begin operations.
Wow. 18 new large-scale fabs. Now, for perspective, we've had, 2 or 3 here in the past 5 years?
Yes.
And that was like newsworthy. Yeah. Like that was like, whoa, wow, we're getting new fabs. That's great. They're building 18. That's amazing.
They created this thing called the 1,000 Talents Program. And there's other similar initiatives to successfully lure hundreds of senior engineers back from Silicon Valley, Intel, and TSMC to lead the Chinese domestic startups.
Yeah. And meanwhile, we want to focus apparently on manufacturing things that are sold at Walmart for $8.
Also, for some reason, we want to shut down our H-1B visa program so that we can't have any of these great engineers coming in to help us.
Be fine. Anyway, look, I enjoyed being a superpower for a while.
No, it was fun.
And now I'm looking forward to our new overlords, whether they be robotic or Chinese.
China's dominance in electric vehicles is partially fueling its chip boom. Modern EVs require up to 3,000 chips per car. Making these chips domestically, China is creating a vertically integrated EV to silicon empire.
3,000 chips per car. And that's if you want the wired CarPlay. If you want the wireless CarPlay, it's 4,000 chips per car.
Sure, it takes a little more, doesn't it?
Apparently, it takes more.
Underneath the big names, thousands of little giant startups are appearing to replace specific chemicals, gases, and silicon wafers that were previously imported from Japan or Germany.
Yeah, that's going to be the race, man. It's going to be the race to find all these.
They're creating their own infrastructure in China, which is totally smart.
Exactly, they need to.
China's strategy isn't just to make its own chips, it's to make the rest of the world dependent on Chinese-made components. So for the Internet of Things, ensuring that Western tech cannot function without Chinese silicon.
Yeah, China is invested in 18 large fabrication facilities, and we no longer allow you to buy consumer-grade routers. Like, that's our position. Like, that's how we're going to tackle this problem head on. It's like, nope, no more Netgear. No, that's how we're going to win. And it's like, okie dokie.
It's embarrassing.
I'm glad we're playing one-dimensional checkers.
And China is getting the biggest engineers and begging them to come to China. Meanwhile, we're saying, no, you can't come in.
No.
Door's locked.
It has 4 antennas on it? Nope, can't use it.
Door's locked. Okay, enough with the headlines. In fact, enough with the episode. We have to get out of here. Special thanks to our floor director, Pranay Sharma.
Thanks, Pranay.
We'll be back later this week with our big story. The industry's AI hits next. Until then, thank you for listening to all this nonsense.
Pizza. That's the next industry AI is hitting next. Sam Altman just wants good pizza, and he's deploying $900 billion to get us there.
Wow. By the way, money well spent.
Oh, boy.
Bravo, Sam.
The pizza debates are going to be real with our listener base. Look, if this AGI spits out a Chicago-based pizza, I'm going to be extremely upset. That's all I have to say.
It's an AI. It can come out with all the different kinds of pizza.
I also like that the AGI is like, you don't put ham and pineapple on a pizza. Like, that's its big takeaway. Its big Oracle takeaway is that.
It just powers itself down.
Exactly. I'm out of here. Just self-destruct. Delete all code base.
I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm CJ Little.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir. This is mobile ESPN.
Oh my.
This isn't just like your sports or your current phone. This is a new phone service from ESPN. Just one touch of the E button and you get features like the sideline and the fastest alerts and video highlights and ESPN show clips. It's like instant, painless access into ESPN. Switch to mobile ESPN today. Call 1-800-GET-ESPN. This is a little off in left field, but you're a sports guy.
ESPN,
You're a technology guy.
the sports
Yes.
channel,
Yes.
tried to have a phone service.
Yes.
Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
Wow.
All I want from you is the year, and I'm almost confident you can get this to. I am confident you can get this within a year.
Yeah.
And you don't even know about this, do you?
I don't. I kind of know the broad thing when lots of people were trying, like,
Yeah.
I think Amazon was trying to do its own phone service at some
Yeah.
point in there. There were a few companies that were trying to do that.
Can I give you a little more context? Would it be helpful?
Yeah. Give me anything.
I'll give you some costs.
You give me cost and I'll get it. Don't give me cost.
For the privilege of carrying sports in their pockets, customers had to fork over money to buy a specific handset.
Yeah, sure.
And then pay monthly for the content.
Okay.
I could tell you more. I could tell you the prices if that helps.
This is the thing Steve Jobs made fun of.
Yes. You're so in the window.
And called it the dumbest phone on the planet or something like that. The dumbest thing I've ever heard.
So the former chairman of ESPN was quoted as saying, "This phone was a stupid idea. I told that to George and John." John was the CEO of ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
He said it was a big bet that was bound to fail. So that was the chairman's view at the time.
Okay.
This was a complete and utter disaster.
I'm thinking back to what year Steve Jobs died, and of course now I know Steve Jobs commented on it. I think, if I remember that right, you say yes. He died around the time of the iPhone 4S, so that gives me a tiny window in time. I'm going to guess this thing was 2005.
Yeah, 2005. Late 2005 was when it came out. They discontinued it in 2006.
Oh, perfect. They got a whole year out of it.
They got a whole year out of it.
A sports
Yes.
broadcasting company wanted to make a phone.
A company that only made increased revenue year over year. ESPN's revenue was up and to the right since they launched.
Yeah.
They could basically do no wrong, which is probably part of the story on this.
Yeah.
They spent $150 million. This is in 2005 dollars.
Okay.
Supposedly including a $30 million Super Bowl ad, which I think is like the hubris on that is amazing.
Wow.
Like they didn't even bother testing this thing. They launched it in I think November or December of 2005 and then had a Super Bowl ad in 2006 that they spent $30 million on. Supposedly they only hit 6% of their sales target. My favorite part of this story was that not just they shut it down a year later, but I think it was like Deadspin did an article on them and they asked their user base to send in an email if they had it. And they got one email from their whole user base of people that were using it. It was a colossal failure. Yeah, Deadspin later would claim that their entire readership during an average afternoon hour was larger than the entire mobile ESPN customer base. And they were probably right.
Of course.
ESPN Mobile 2005 to 2006.
Rest in peace, friend.
The end.